And I remember watching, as they were trying to round up votes, they were trying to twist the arms of their own members to get the votes. I remember watching the House leaders at the time, Dick Armey from Texas, big tall guy, Dennis Hastert from Illinois, big wide guy, who had this little freshman congressman named Adam Putnam from Florida. They had a corner, in one corner of the chamber, they were looming over him and wagging their fingers in his face. Putnam was from a region of Florida that grows fruits and vegetables, and the Florida farmers were worried, particularly about a trade deal with Latin America, which would flood the U.S. market with cheap citrus fruit from South America. So they didn't want fast track. And so Putnam was trying to hold out. At the end of the day, he did hold out. It was the North Carolina textile guys that finally caved. Bush ended up winning by 2 votes in the Congress. I actually went to talk to Putnam after that. I said, what did that feel like, to have your House leaders looming over you like that? And he said, it was the worst experience of my life. I wanted to throw up. But he didn't, he held on, he voted against it. But, so, by 2001, you're getting votes that are held open for an hour, passed by 2 votes. The Central American Free Trade Agreement, the CAFTA, passed by 1 vote in the House in 2005. So the deterioration of public support has been a long time coming. Ross Perot ran a third-party candidacy, a pretty good one, back in the 1992 election on an anti-NAFTA platform. So Trump is an heir to a lot of this. For Trump himself, and we're all trying to say, well, what does this guy actually believe? What does he stand for? On trade, it is absolutely clear what he believes. His ideological commitments on trade are extremely strong. I have a new article just out in Politico magazine that they put a lovely headline on. It's called The Roots of Trump's Trade Rage. And Donald Trump believes vociferously that the United States is getting screwed on trade. That it's been screwed for years and years and years. He looks at the trade deficit. The U.S. runs an annual trade deficit of about $500 billion. To him, that's them winning and us losing. And he's believed this ever since he first flirted with politics. He first started thinking about running for president in the mid-1980s, and his first action was to take out a full-page ad in the New York Times going after the Japanese for their trade surplus with the United States, and saying, we've got to go after these Japanese trade cheaters. I have not quite figured out where in his family it came from. Somebody suggested to me he lost a couple of real estate deals to big Japanese companies in the 80s. I'm not sure. I haven't quite traced, but I do know his very first foray into politics was on this issue. Every U.S. president, going back to Franklin Roosevelt, has believed that expanded trade was a good thing for the United States. Good for American companies, good for workers, good for our foreign policy, good for our consumers, good for the rest of the world. We now have a president who does not believe that. This is a radical and historic change in the direction of U.S. trade policy. So just to conclude, because I want to leave plenty of time for questions, I would like to be optimistic and say that I hope the new administration is going to focus more on those Americans whom, in the subtitle of my book, got left behind by the global economy. I'm not sorry that these issues got aired in the campaign. I really wish they'd been aired much sooner. Canada, which is my adopted home, fought an entire national election in the 1980s on the issue of whether to do a free trade agreement with the United States. And the Canadians ended up supporting a pro-free trade government. They never looked back. They made that decision as a country. We never had that debate in the United States. We kept kind of sweeping it under the carpet. Some of what Trump is doing, I think, is overdue. I don't mind him putting some pressure on U.S. companies to invest more here. I think too many U.S. companies kind of drunk the Kool-Aid that they were global companies that just happened to be headquartered in the United States, and their only responsibility was to their shareholders and profit maximization. Well, they forgot, at the end of the day, when they run into problems around the world, who's got their back? It's the U.S. government, representative of all of us in this room. And if they lose the confidence of the American people, they're going to be in trouble. And I think, unfortunately, they're waking up to that and are a little scared about what the consequences might be. So, I kind of hope that we'll see some positive nudges, but I really fear, unfortunately, that it's more likely that this administration is going to begin to tear up trade rules that we have spent generations negotiating. And if you look at the research on it, we're going to hurt a lot of Americans who rely on global trade. We've heard a lot about the losers from global trade. believe me, in the next couple of years, we're going to hear from all those Americans whose jobs are dependent on international trade, and they're suddenly going, oh my God, what is the new president doing? And I think at the end of the day, the effect of a very sharp U-turn is going to be to actually hurt the people who got left behind even more than they were hurt in the first go-round. But we are entering a very different era here, and we're just in the first days of it. So I'll stop there, and happy to entertain any questions about what's going on in the crazy town. Thank you.
Have any other countries done what we're doing or about to do, and what has happened to them? You know, other countries who have stopped international trade, and what's happened to them?
I don't think I can point to an example of a big open economy that's changed course dramatically. And let me be clear, I don't know how big this shift is going to be. I don't know whether it'll be a sort of quarter of a degree or full 180. Hard to point to examples like that. Trump's economic philosophy is kind of closest to the Latin American populists, Argentina or Brazil before it kind of opened up to world trade. There have sort of been two big theories on how you develop. One is sort of export-led. This is more for developing countries than for advanced countries, but one is sort of